So that's what the Lord's bringing back on the earth. He's not coming back to bring everybody together. After he's already set it forth in the foundations of the earth, that Israel was going to be above all people upon the earth, man. And you can read about that in the book of Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter and the 6th verse. Alright? Which pretty much what it says is, for thou art holy people unto the Lord. But this whole word holy means separate. Okay? So within that, the Lord's got, that's a racist statement right there. Right? That thou art holy people unto the Lord thy power. And the Lord has chosen you to be a special people unto himself. Okay? That's what the Lord the Lord deals with. He deals with separation. He deals with election. Right? In fact, when you go to the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, I believe it's around about the 9th verse, maybe. It talks about how there is an Israel. Now, not all of Israel that of Israel, man. Okay, so there's an elect within the elect, man. There's a governing body within the governing body. Right? Let alone, mercy for you, you Edomites and so on and so forth, man. Alright? Let's carry on with the scriptures. For wickedness that has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works is fulfilled. Alright? And I don't even have to get into the pollution that Esau has pushed forth out there from the water, the air, the food and so on and so forth. Okay? With the GMOs and so on and so forth. That's all pollution. Alright? Because why? Because the scriptures pretty much tells you that he's gonna be like, if the Lord wasn't gonna return, there wasn't gonna be no flesh left to save, because you got it to where the devil was gonna be out there, he was gonna be defiling everything, man. See, that goes into what this scripture is talking about here, where it talks about the wicked, because the wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Now, principally, that's talking about wickedness, right, as in direct controversy with the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High that he set forth. Okay? It says, for wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. It said, therefore, thus saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness. So the Lord said he is not going to hold his tongue no more as touching their wickedness. In other words, Esau's time, whether it was 400 years, right, or 300 years, or whatever, however much time that he's ruled since the last stronghold, I believe that was in Granada, all right, of Jakes, whatever period of time, right, whatever figure that comes up to up until this point, right, the Lord wasn't going to allow it to where he was going to go outside those bounds, man. He wasn't going to go outside, right, beyond that number, man. He wasn't going to go a year more than that. He wasn't going to go a minute longer than that. He wasn't going to go an hour longer than that. Once he gets to that boundary of time that he was set forth to rule, he was going to be destroyed. Okay? So it says here, alright, so it says here, I'll hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise. Okay, one of those things that they wickedly exercise is as spoken about within the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter and the 1st verse. How the wicked have taken crafty counsel against the anointed of the Most High. Right? See, where all of these counsels, and whether it be out there in Jekyll Island where they incepted the Federal Reserve, all right, whether it be out there within whether it be a G20 meeting, or whether it be out there the Geneva Convention or whatever, all of those meetings are set up for one thing, man: to take crafty counsel against the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. How more they can destroy the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man, by way of the Planned Parenthood, by way of these FRNs, the Federal Reserve notes, or whatever central bank notes that you're using. Right, those are all systematically destroying the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and then they'll set forth some idiot, right? They'll set forth some idiot, right, to push forth that agenda of loving money, man, of which the money that you're using is non-existent, man. All right, the only thing that puts power behind these so-called strong currencies, of which really the dollar is a second, maybe even the tertiary is a tertiary currency in terms of its strength, because you got it to where the pound really is strong, the strongest currency. You got the dollar, which is which is behind the euro, because when every time you go from these different countries and you trade one euro for $1, you get more, man. You get more bang for your buck. All right, going to show you what the dollar is done, man. All right, it's nothing but a pile of beans, man. It means nothing, man. Okay, and that's one of those. But then going back onto the point I was making, they'll set up a guy like a Floyd Mayweather, and they'll give him some chump change in comparison to the wealth that they've acquired. All right, and he'll be on this like he said, he's the money team and Jacob be all up into that vibration, not being into the vibration of the Most High, man. Because that's a crafty counsel that they've taken. They've set you up a leader, right, or an icon, someone you would aspire to be, because he's a person that's out there. He's so-called doing his thing, all right. They'll set that individual up as a means of aspiring to that, and all that person is about emptiness, because that money is empty, man. Now, see, if he was about gold and silver, that would make some kind of sense, but even the scripture says, right, the love of money is the root of all wickedness, and that's best exemplified when we go into the fact that these so-called people that they set up to be icons within the so-called black and Hispanic community, they're all sold out to Esau, man. They have all sold out to Esau. That's why they're persistently throwing up, the Monoconota and so on and so forth, man. Because they are all sold out to Esau, man. Right, when you look at their clothing, all that's on their clothing is ancient Babylonian symbols, man. Which is the same symbols that Esau's be using for his enchantments, man. But see, just like how the scripture says, all of that enchantment, right, ultimately ain't gonna touch the elect of the Most High, man. Right, because the scripture talks about how the elect of the Most High ain't gonna be plucked out of his hands, man. See, the elect ain't gonna move out of the lot that they've been set forth to push. And that's why the scripture also says in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, in the 5th chapter, how that when Esau sees the brothers throughout the four corners of the earth pushing this word, he gets scared about that, because he's put in that diligent, that crafty work, okay, right, to make sure that this truth doesn't come out, and the Lord had it still to where this truth was going to be pushed out, man. So that's the power of the Most High, man. The Most High will have it to where you put in all kind of works and all kind of investments, all right, to where you was going to have it to where this truth wasn't going to go up, and we'll have it to where 100 camps rise up in one night, man. Matter of fact, when the Most High puts that spirit upon us, as spoken about within the book of Acts, the 1st chapter, around about the 5th verse, where it talks about how the spirit Yahweh Shemi Al-Shai fell upon the apostles at that time. They began to speak in tongues. They began to do all the same miracles that Yahweh was doing, but just like how Yahweh said it, they was going to do it in an even greater lot. They was going to do it even greater than he did. You had it to where thousands were getting added in one day, man. See, that's the thing that really. That's the thing that really we're waiting for, man. That spiritual power, man. All right. And the scripture talks about how in 1 hour we was gonna be changed in the twinkling of an eye, rather more. We was gonna be changed into what? Into our spiritual form, man. Our complete spiritual form, having the Lord's statutes and commandments of the Most High written within our minds, and being perpetually righteous, man. Which is a beautiful thing, because you ain't gonna be able to worry about death or worry about anything else, man. You're gonna be worried about some curses, man. Ain't gonna be worried about slapping the Edomite in the face and all of that, man, because the spirit of Yahweh Shemi Al-Shai is gonna be with you, man. Okay? But getting back onto the point I was making, all right, of which I nearly lost my train of thought there. Pretty much they've put in a diligent work to make sure, right, or trying to make sure that this truth doesn't go up, man. All right? And every time they had it to where Jake was rising up, because the Most High has put that spirit within them. Okay? Now, I was gonna say this, there's levels to this thing too, man. All right? There's levels to the faith that Yahweh Shemi Al-Shai is prescribed to men. See, certain men was going to come into this thing, and all they had to see was the prophets of the Lord, man. That's dealing with the elect. But see, the 1/3 is going to come by way of seeing the prophets of the Most High set forth, that were pushing this truth for years and decades and so on and so forth, or whatever. All right? They were pushing this thing, and when they see them doing the miracles, that's what they're going to be. Because certain Jake needs something tangible, which is understandable, because certain men follow Yahweh Shai only after they had seen his miracles, man. But see, certain men followed Yahweh Shai because the Spirit revealed it unto them that they was Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai even said, look, man, flesh and blood hasn't shown you this, but the Spirit of Yahweh has showed, the Spirit of Yahweh has showed this unto you, man. Okay, today's levels to this thing, man. All right. Back in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and the 8th verse, it says, "Behold, I will I'll hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise." All right. The innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, man. Right? Because you had it to where all kind of Israelite babies were killed during the times of slavery. You got it to where all kind of Israelite kids is being killed right now. Now, see, it's systematic. See, you won't blame Esau directly these days. Why? Because he's using the GMO food to kill off your babies, right? The vaccines and so on and so forth. All right, and those are all means of what? Population control, man. All right, because ultimately, going back onto the Georgia Guidestone, they want to keep this population under 500 million, man. All right, they want to bring it down to that now by way of the crash collision that you're gonna have by way of Russia and so on and so forth. They're gonna try to achieve that. All right, they're gonna try to achieve that. But we know through the scriptures, right, by way of scriptures like Job, the 20th chapter, where it talks about how when Esau is about to fill his belly, he shall be put into straits, man, which is difficulty. So as he feels like he's accomplishing his so-called new world order, man, we know that he's going to be put into difficulties, man. He's going to be put into straits, man. Okay? He wasn't going to accomplish his so-called new world order. In fact, all that he's doing, he's ushering in our new world order. But see, he's doing the dirty work, the groundwork for it. For instance, he's doing the ethnic cleansing for it. Because a lot of gremlin Jakes, a lot of gremlin Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans going to be killed, going to be destroyed by way of the martial law, man. All right, a lot of Israelites, right? A lot of the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans is going to be destroyed by way of the time of Jacob's trouble, which Esau's gonna come up with. All right, in the times that we're getting into right now, man. But see, that's the 2/3, and that goes on to prophecy, and we need those 2/3 to be destroyed. Because I can't take it. Look, I can't be on a chariot with a guy, right, that believes in the ancient book of the dead, man. I can't be on a chariot with that guy, man. I might have to throw him out the window, man, just to be facetious. Right, but you understand where I'm coming from, because Lord wants it to where the whole body is in unison and in the same vibration. All right, praying unto the same Yahweh, praying unto the same power. All right, reverencing the Son of the power. All right, no, because you got certain guys right now that they ain't reverencing the Son. Man, does not the scripture say kiss the Son? All right, basically reverence the Son, man. All right, and you had it to where this man went up on the cross, and he was the one that took up your iniquity which you're committing right now. He took that up. And you're talking about how pretty much you don't have to, man. Come on, man. All right. Back in the scriptures, in Ecclesiastes, the 15th chapter, and halfway through the 8th verse, and it says, "The righteous and innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually." So you got it to where certainly the elect that died on this side, because the scripture does talk about that in the book of Thessalonians, how that when we are raised up into those chariots, pretty much you was going to have it to where the brothers that pretty much died in this thing, they was going to be already up in it, man. That's what the scripture talks about in the book of Thessalonians, all right? So you got it to where those spirits that are there before the Most High complaining continually to do what? To destroy this wicked society, all right? Because they see what we're going through, all right? And they want to usher hell. Yahweh Shai himself is, because scripture talks about how he doesn't know that, he said it to where I don't know the day that the Most High is going to have it to where I'm going to return, all right? But I know I'm going to return, okay? Right? Because it's for the Most High to know those times, man, all right? But the scripture talks about, says that, so it's not a hard thing to imagine that Yahweh Shai is going to be up there complaining that this thing could be ushered in, that he could return and take vengeance upon the men that spat on, upon the men that beat, upon the men that scoffed when he was on the cross. Okay, he's hastening that day, man, and the scripture says how he's not going to meet thee as a man, meaning to say what? He's going to be in a vengeful state, man. In fact, let me get this, and then I'll get back to the 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter and the 9th verse. But this is in the book of Isaiah, the 63rd chapter. All right, from the top on down. Okay, top on down. Bear with me. Okay, Isaiah 63:1, and this talk about Yahweh Shai when he returns, all right? Okay, because you got it to where a lot of people think that the man they know is Jesus is going to come, and he's going to be peaceable, and he's going to be, oh, you was bad, but it's all right, I forgive you, okay? You can get this, that, and the third. That's not how he's going to come back. Matter of fact, when you see in the scriptures, the judgment, and the principal judgment is going to take against, is the leaders that be in power right now, the Rothschilds, all of these different names are associated with the so-called illumined ones, all right? The devils, okay? So you can understand that the principal deceivers walking upon the face upon the earth right now, all right? And they'll have it to where, I mean, you might see this guy and you might think, man, this guy is all right. Because he ain't going to come in that devilish, antics. See, the thing about the deceiver, the thing about the devil is, right, he's a deceiver, man. He's gonna have it to where his agenda is gonna be he's forthcoming, man. He's gonna have it to where he's gonna hide it underneath his tongue, just like look how the scripture says. Though his spirit, though he forsake it, right? He can't keep it still within it, man, because he is the wicked. Okay? So let's say here, so if it's a devout man, by deduction, that devout man will have to be an Israelite. Just that proves to you right there, clear and cut, that Cornelius was an Israelite, because the scripture says in the book of I think it's Isaiah the 58th chapter. I just quoted it. All right. No, it's Job the 28th chapter. How Esau, pretty much, is the wickedness within him, man. He tried to fight against it, but he can't keep it still within him, man. All right. I think really I quoted both of them there. That's Isaiah Psalms the 58th chapter and Job the 20th chapter. I think I might have mixed both of them up there, but see, the point is still in there. Okay, so Esau will fight all of that wickedness within him, but he can't keep it still within him, because it's his job to do, and that's his spirit, that's his natural state. Right? You ever seen a boxer or something like that, man, and they try to retire or something like that? They can't fight that itch. They're gonna go back in the ring, man, until they get to a stage where they know they can't win, where they know that it will be probably better off not to go back in the ring and fight off that urge unless they embarrass themselves, man. Okay, or you have it to where a man might have served a few tours out there within whatever, the Middle East or whatever he's in the army and that. You see, you can't take the army out of the man, man. That's just his nature. And that's likened unto Esau's wickedness, man. You can't take that wickedness out of him. That's just his nature. Therefore, a devout man will have to not be an Edomite. He would have to be an Israelite, because to be devout, that's the nature of Israel, man. That's the nature of the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. That's their inherent form, okay? That's why you go to where you might have a drug dealer or something like that, man, and you make all kind of money destroying his own people, okay? But he'll go to church on a Sunday, man. And you seen that in that movie with Denzel Washington, man, American Gangster. You saw the guy going out there into the church and so on and so forth. Because what? Because the Most High impart that consciousness within us to where even the wicked that surpass the deeds of the wickedness of the deeds of the wicked, brother Moise, we quote in the scripture within the book of Jeremiah. All right, even the wicked amongst our people that surpass the wickedness of Esau, even within them, they can't fight that righteousness off of them. That's why when they get up in age, they start bugging out, man. Right? Because they've done so much wickedness and they've been fighting their spirit for so long, all right, that they just start bugging out, man. Okay? They just start spazzing out, man. All right? So this is back in, this is Brother Moore, Isaiah the 63rd chapter, around about the first verse, and this is a good chapter, man. This is a good book. Okay? Isaiah 63:1, it says, "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah, that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength." Okay, and this is what Yahushua responded, and he said, "I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save," letting you know he's the Lord himself. And then this is Isaiah speaking. He says, "Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat." Now this is principally talking about the Edomites. When we read on down, because we know Edom, Brother Mo Bozrah, was one of the principal cities out there in Idumea, okay? But when you translate it into modern day times, right, that might be, one of these, states out there within, maybe Washington or something like that. And you seeing the Lord coming, and Isaiah saw the vision coming, because he didn't know what place it was, so he just said, okay, it's a principal, a city amongst these Edomites. Okay, so coming from Bozrah, okay, coming from Edom. All right, okay, I'll write that down, because you gotta remember, back in them times, man, they didn't have the full understanding. They had the full understanding of the scriptures, but the Lord had it to where certain things were sealed up and spoken about within the book of Daniel, right? And then they just wrote it verbatim, all right? They didn't fully understand what they were seeing. But see, now we're in the times where you can fully understand what we're seeing, because the scripture talks about how the seals, the 7 complete seals within the book of Revelations have been taken off, all right? But that's only unto the elect, man. Only the elect was going to get the full understanding of this truth by way of the elders, man. Right? Because the elders are the men that the Lord has set forth, right, to have it to where this unsealed truth gets pushed out there unto whoever is supposed to be reached unto, man. And even within that, even within the realms of this book, these things that the Most High had it to where the stuff that was going to be plainly written, as spoken about within the book of Ezra, it was going to be plainly written, and certain things that just wasn't written, man. Okay, the revelations that the man Moses had, right? God told him certain things he was going to write, certain things he was just going to know, man. all right? Because they weren't for the vast majority of the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. Okay, let alone the elect at that time, all right? So it says there, wherefore I done resin and apparel, and I garments like him that treadeth the wine fat. And it says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people that was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. So the Lord was going to stain all of his raiment by the blood of grapes, so in a comical sense, because that's how Isaiah saw it, man. But really, it was the blood of them Edomites, man. Okay, so it says, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Man, see, we're in the day of the Lord's vengeance right now, because vengeance off of what? Of what them different men did unto him, going back onto the times of the Romans, man. The day of vengeance is where he's going to avenge his elect, okay? It says, and I looked, and there was none to help me, and I wondered there was none to uphold me. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury upheld me, man. See, so when the Lord's going to return, okay, he's not going to come in his, in a regular form, all right? And you ain't going to be able to touch him like how you did in the past, man, okay? Scripture talks about how pretty much out of his mouth he's just gonna talk, and fire was gonna proceed out of his mouth. Man. That's the form the Lord's coming back in. Man. That's the format that he's coming back, and he's coming back in an angelic form, and it's rightfully so, because he's gonna come back in an angelic form and save us from this tribulations that we're in right now, man. Okay. Back in this book of 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter and the 10th and the 9th verse, it says, therefore thus saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them. Okay, and that's, we've seen that avenging being spoken about within the book of Isaiah, the 63rd chapter. Alright, so the scripture says, therefore thus saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent, right, blood from among them. It says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, and they're getting led, and like I said, it goes back onto the